Joined now by Coach Brad Larsen. Coach, obviously these are exciting times for you. Just your thoughts, the new head coach of the Blue Jackets.
Yeah, lots of emotion that goes with it. Excited, it's a little bit of a surreal moment at sometimes you think about it, but feel ready for it. Looking forward to the opportunity, and it's early enough in the summer here where you kind of get prepared. There's lots of things to kind of take care of, but kind of tackling those things right now.
You certainly paid your dues coming up through the ranks, 7 years an assistant here. What did you learn, and what did you learn from John Tortorella, do you think?
Oh, gosh, that's a long-winded answer there, but everyone says, I've heard two things: you deserve it and you paid your dues, and I almost don't feel comfortable with either one of those. There's so many qualified guys that have put in even more time, and deserved is such a tough thing because, again, there's so many deserving candidates out there, and going through the process and hearing some of the names that we're applying, they're fully deserving too. So going back to where you said, like, what did I learn from John Tortorella? I think first and foremost, the best way I've described it is a better understanding of that passion to win and what it looks like. Torts came in and he inherited me. I wasn't hired by him, so he had coached against me. I had played in Atlanta, and he was in the same division there with Tampa, but there was no prior relationship. So not sure what I was getting into, not having a relationship. I learned a real valuable lesson about get to know the man first before you judge on him, and he came with a reputation, as everybody may have thought of him, and I got to know him real well over the last 6 years, and tremendous man, cares a lot, but very driven, very passionate. I think found on the foundation part of it and building blocks of a team, it's almost seamless how we see it. How we go about our business will probably be a lot different because, I've stated this many times, I'm going to be my own man and have my own style, but accountability and work ethic and that drive to improve every single day, I think it's real important for an organization, and I got to live it with them and watch it and see it every day.
What do you think you're most looking forward to? Because this is your team now.
Well, it's not just my team; it's our team. It's an organization thing. It's from the management to the staff that I put together. It's not about me. It's never going to be about me. It's always about the players. And what I'm looking forward to is creating those relationships and dealing with them one-on-one every day from a head coach position. As an assistant, again, I've been an assistant in the American League for 2 years, and then I was a head for 2 years. So I had to make that transition with the same team. I know what that was like. You're the same person, but now it's a different voice. It really is, as far as how you're going to approach things. You have to deliver the hard messages. You have to hold people accountable. You're the one that takes the information, and then you got to apply it. And someone has to deliver the hard message at times, and that's your responsibility. So, and now I'm doing it here at the NHL level. I'm looking forward to just the everyday, like building a staff. I think it's the fun part, bringing in certain people and certain personalities, and then the big thing here is how are you going to be different, how it's going to be no voice. Well, I'm going to be me first and foremost, and then bringing a new staff. It's a new energy, it's a new vibe that's going to be going on along with our players. So I think with how last year went, it was a disappointing year. I think guys are really energized and looking forward to a fresh start.
When you were introduced to the media, some of your players showed up at that news conference, including Cam. And what did that mean to you? And they spoke very highly of you. They were happy to see you get this shot.
I mean, I wasn't expecting that at all, and they came on their own accord, which was really neat to see. But that's the coaching for me is an opportunity to build trust relationships, and I have a strong passion for the game of hockey. I've done it for my whole life since I was 3 years old, and growing up in Canada, hockey, it's like a religion out there. It's a lot like, you see the Buckeyes around here, and that was hockey back in where I grew up. So it's something that's just it's in me, and I love it. And playing, I was fortunate enough to carve a career out, and again, I've stated this, I wasn't a very good player. I was fortunate enough to have a career and get through it, but I certainly was not an elite player. but then now to switch to coaching, I wanted to stay in coaching. I had a passion for coaching since I was probably a late teenager, believe it or not. And during my career, I was hurt a lot. Went through a lot of ups and downs and waivers and traded and a lot of different experiences. So it always come back to what are you passionate about? What do you love? And it was coaching. I wanted to stay close to the game. And this is as close as you can get without putting the skates on anymore. I have no desire to put the skates on anymore unless I'm standing out there blowing the whistle. I know how much is required and how hard it is to push day to day and what we're asking of them. So, but to be able to help and drive these guys and bring a group together for the greater good of winning. Like we want to win. We're passionate about winning and how you go about your business and doing that. I think that's the exciting part of it.
Are you a player's coach? And when you hear that term, and we're talking to a guy that played a long time, what does a player's coach mean to you?
Well, I can't answer that question. You know, I think you'd have to ask others that have played for me. You know, Cam knows me and Boone Jenner. I had him right at the start, and there's other guys that would have. So that's probably best suited for them. But you know, I think I come with a unique perspective because I did play. I had to kind of grind away at a career. I wasn't a guy that was the go-to guy per se. I played on some real neat teams though, you know, playing with Colorado I was 7 years in the organization, played there for bits and parts of 3 years and I was part of that Stanley Cup winning team and I didn't play anything in the playoffs and I would only played 9 games, but I was there for the whole thing. So to watch it, to be a part of a team with, I think there were 6 Hall of Fame guys on that team with Patrick Roy and Joe Sakic and Peter Forsberg and the list goes on. To watch their passion to win and desire and the level of accountability with that group was incredible. And it was all about winning. That was it. It was never about stats or personal gratification. It was about how are we going to do this as a group. So to sit in that room, be part of discussions and see it and live it was an incredible experience. And all these things that come in, I think I have a unique perspective where I can share experiences. I never glorify my career because there's nothing really to glorify. But I think going through different scenarios and different situations, I can relate with players and try and help them through maybe tough times, good times, you know, disappointing areas in their life.
You know, you're a humble guy, but you know, you did make it. You played at that level, which is not easy, and that's where the goal is. Does it make it easier to relate to the guys? And you had a ringside seat around some of the greatest players to ever play this game. I mean, does it make it easier when you relate to the players today?
I think it helps. I think, again, anytime you can look through their lenses a little bit, I think that helps. And if there's an understanding of maybe what they're going through, you know, again, there's a lot of situations that I went through, you know, hearing no, plenty of times early in my career, being fighting through the minor leagues, and every year at the end of the camp, you think you did well, and they're like, no, you're going back down, and doing it again, and finally hearing a yes was thrilling, you know, where you feel like, okay, I made it, and then you make it, and then it's really you're a fringe player, and you're bumping around, and you're trying to scratch and claw to cover a career, and getting put on waivers, getting that phone call of going, you know, we don't want you, basically, is what they're saying, and nobody took you, but you're playing tonight. Like trying to process that and going, you know, there's a lot going through your head. Getting traded the first time and saying they want you there tomorrow, and you're going, okay, hold on, I got an apartment, you know, trying to figure things out. So, and there's the family dynamic. So all these things, these experiences that I went through from playing on good teams and going through it, I think it helps me to relate with the players. I think I want to help them as much as possible. I want to grow with them. I'm going to push them. I think anybody that knows me about you know, work ethic, I think that's something that I always bring to the forefront. I got that from my parents, and very, very hardworking mom and dad, and something that I always tried to make sure it was something I could control. So make sure you're bringing that every single day. So I think they understand I have a passion and an energy that I'm going to bring, but it's work ethic. I'm not here to coach effort. That's not. I think that's required. I don't think I'm here to. I'm going to push these guys, but I think if you build trust in a relationship and you understand why you're doing it, I think you even get more out of a player, and I want to have an inspired team.
John Davidson, Jarmo Kekalainen, they said they kept coming back to you. What was that process like, and what do you think was the clincher for you?
Well, again, it's probably better suited to ask them what the clincher was. It was a process, there's no question, and they asked a ton of questions, and it got very detailed, and I knew there was a lot of candidates. I mean, you know, like I said, there's so many qualified people out there, and that are deserving also. But the one thing that I always wanted to make sure was that I wasn't going to be a salesman. I wasn't going to say something that I thought that they wanted to hear. It was important for me to make sure that whatever I was going to say, I was going to do, and stay true to myself and my values, and what I believe is important in building a team, and what that foundation will look like. So, you know, the process was, it's grueling, but you understood it, and I wasn't. You know, everyone has asked me, were you nervous or anxious? I wasn't. I mean, they either were going to want me or they weren't. And when you go in with the attitude, you're not selling something, you're just being yourself. They either want that or they don't. And I wasn't trying to fast track it. It wasn't like, gosh, I got to get this head coach job. If the time was right, it was going to happen, and it happened, and I'm excited for it.
Going forward now, what are your expectations?
As far as what? Is it team or?
The team, and, you know, just your first go-around.
Well, first thing is just building the staff, you know, and what I'm going to expect from them is getting the right people. I think there's X's and O's, and that's important, but I think getting the right people for where we're going to be at as a team. And again, what is our team going to look like? That's the first thing, and really that comes to my mind. I don't know yet. You know, and we're going to have those conversations, and we're going to see where this ends up. Probably by August, mid-August, you have a very good picture of what our team's going to look like. And then it's just really planning, organizing, getting to work. I mean, expectations are we're going to be prepared, we're going to work hard, we're going to make sure that every day our coaching staff's getting into our players, and we're going to get the most out of them.
Obviously, Seth Jones is, it's going to be a busy summer as you guys make some decisions. You know, everybody's on record. They'd love for this kid to sign and be here. But as a former player, you understand, you know, free agency only comes around once. But you'll be watching this anxiously, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, again, the players, as they get farther along, they get certain rights, and he's going to get those rights. And so, you know, for us as an organization, as coaches, everybody knows what we think of Jonesy. I mean, he's a tremendous person, tremendous player. Do we want him? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, he's going to make a decision, and then, you know, whatever decision he makes, we got to make a decision going forward, and that's what we'll do as an organization. I think everybody knows our feelings towards him, and what we love about him as a person and a player. But at the end of the day, there is this business side, and we'll just kind of act accordingly.
Obviously, there's other decisions to be made. How much are you involved in those talks about some of the guys, what will happen this summer?
Yeah, very involved. I think we've already had discussions right away. Once I got the green light that I was going to be the head coach, and we went over some roster stuff. So yeah, I'll be part of that process, absolutely, and on the team, what it looks like and what we're trying to do.
All right, Coach, here's the deal. We put out on social media that we were going to get to talk to you, and here's some questions from the fans. It's okay? Okay. Yeah, I know you have the greatest respect for the fifth line. Before we start taking them, what's your message to the fifth line, I guess?
Well, I've stated this right from this in my press conference before, and not that you're in front of the camera much as an assistant coach, but it's huge. The fan base here, and what they mean to Columbus, to this team. They're passionate. If you're fortunate enough to be around for playoffs and seeing the energy in this building, what it provides for our team, their energy is incredible for our group, and you know, the message is, you know, we hope to, it's not me, it's we hope to build a team that we can continue to be proud of every single night, and you know, kind of recapture that identity that we lost a little bit last year in a really messed up year with a pandemic and everything going on. I mean, there is a reality to that. But I think it's important that from my staff and the organization and the players is that we're all in and the work's going to be there every night.
You know, with that said, the last 2 years really very weird because of this pandemic and, you know, very few fans. It looks like we're back to normal, hopefully, and that this place can be filled again. How excited are you about that? And I get the feeling that the fans are going to turn out, and they've missed it.
Yeah, well, I think, and I think reciprocated from the players, they missed it. I mean, it's one of those things you don't know how much you miss it till it's gone. And without the energy of the fans, I mean, we're playing a game that they love, but these guys they're entertainers, they're athletes, they're driven by the passion and the energy of the rink. So you take that out, you know, you're playing, but it's a weird feeling out there is the best way to describe it. Even as coaches, you're watching the players and they feed off that. They feed, like, there's certain energies that you feed off of and momentum's in the game as they shift. The players feel that. And you can see even nights when you're off, you say you get the fifth line behind them and all of a sudden they score and they get some wind in their sails. You see a group that all of a sudden it's like a switch, and that was gone. You know, and the momentums weren't as crazy as normal. You're seeing it now in playoffs. You watch playoffs, and you know, you're watching these Vegas fans and where they're full again, and the craziness. And I think in that the Islanders game, and you watch, there's a scrum almost every shift. That's going on, and there's punching, and I think it's just the energy. They're excited again, and they're all fired up. So it's fun to watch. You know, the fans coming back, and you say back to normal. I don't know what normal is going to look like now. I don't know if it's probably the new normal. You know, hopefully we're by this, and there is full stadiums again, and the players can really appreciate that now, I think, more than ever.
All right, Coach. Ellen Schwarm asks, what style of coaching should we expect?
Well, it's a good question, Ellen. I think as you get to know me again, passion, energy, you know, our teams, I want an inspired team along with my staff, how we approach this. You want to be skilled and fast and you know, an exciting team. That's what we want, and that's what we want to bring as a staff and an organization for our guys and being prepared every single night.
Michael Davis asks, how do you plan to attract and keep big-time talent in Columbus?
Winning, and I think you start that from the ground up, and, you know, from the day they get drafted. I think the most important thing for me, and when I've been inspired as a player or been around coaches, it's that they valued people. And so I think, you know, our mandate it should be as an organization, a staff, is to build relationships and value those people and understand what that looks like each and every day. And when you care about people and you build trust with people, people want to be around that each and every day. And you know, so the idea of building those relationships early when they get drafted, the only way to be a sustainable winning team is built through the draft. There's no secret. No one's going to tell you any different. You can't do that through free agency. So getting them as young men, helping them, cultivating relationships with them, and then making them feel like they're part of something special. I think that's how you keep people around.
All right, Coach, Fire the Cannon asks, what are you going to do to turn Laine loose?
Turn Laine loose. Well, I don't think Laine doesn't want to turn loose. I think, you know, here's what I'll say about Patrick. He came, his first time being traded, pandemic year, a lot going on. You know, he wants to do well. And I think watching him, it felt like he was trying to do so much. And I don't know if he's ever been called to do that much as a player. So it snowballed all the wrong way for him. And I think this is a really good summer for him to kind of free his mind. It's a fresh slate. It's a summer to, you know, now he's going to have a full camp together with his group. He has got familiarity with Columbus, the team. It's all going to serve him well and help him. And it's not just on Patrick. It's everybody. It's a team that we got to build together. He's one player on a whole group, and as a staff to try and help him and enable him to be the best player he can with his skill set, because he's got a ton of it.
Sheriff Woody asks about the power play, wants to know why you think it struggled at times and what you will do going forward.
Well, it's a great question. Of course, you get drilled with these questions all the time, and if we had a magic dust or formula to make it better, we would have. I think, one thing we struggled with was getting power play opportunities. I think the one thing about Torts is he commands a lot of respect, and if you've ever watched the league, if you get 2 penalties, generally they're getting 2 penalties, and we're one of the lowest penalized teams, I think, for 4 straight years. So not getting opportunity on there was hurtful for us. I think one thing that I'm really going to focus on with our staff, and when I hire my staff and a power play guy, we're going to talk about, but just working at it, practice, and we did practice, but it's going to be a focal point, and I think we all know we want it to get better, and it can help us win games. So most power play guys, they love to work on the power play, and we got to do it with a purpose and make sure that we're getting the reps. And if we're not getting in the games, we're going to have to get it in practice. And I have some real strong ideas about how we can help that situation, and utilizing our practice time a little bit more, and isolating some of those situations for our players, and utilizing some of our other coaches to help that situation also. So it's all these things we're brainstorming, but when I hire my staff, they're going to have some input in that as well, and that's what excites me about it.
Finally, Jacques Rabbit asks, are we in a rebuild?
Well, you know what, there's lots of terms getting thrown around right now, let's put it that way, and I'm not going to call it anything right now, because right now I don't even know what the team's going to look like. So when we get into August and September, we'll sit down and we'll see what that looks like. But for me, whatever you want to label this, it's not going to change how we approach the game every single day. About the energy, the passion, the improving. That's going to be a mandate from day one. That's what we're going to apply with this group, and we'll see what the labels are once we get to the end of the summer.
It's going to be a busy summer. Obviously, the draft is coming up. How involved, how deep are you into that?
I'm not. You know what? They have scouts that we're so involved in what we do. We don't know these players at all. That's why you build scouting staffs. That's what they're excellent at. They're the ones putting the work in on video and watching them live. And again, this is a messed up year too, because a lot of leagues were shut down or had shortened seasons, and so it's going to be challenging. And the draft is challenging enough to find the right people, but it's exciting. I mean, when you have 3 first-round picks, that's a really unique opportunity for an organization to have. And we got a real high pick in ours at number 5, and that's kind of the one reward of not having a great year, is that we are going to get a very good player there. And then we got 2 late first-round picks, and we'll see what they do with that. Again, those are decisions that they're going to make. If they want my input, I certainly will give some.
Coach, last thing, it's a process. You're building something here. As a coach, though, and as a player that played at the highest level and got to the mountaintop, do you allow yourself to dream of hoisting the cup here?
Oh yeah, that's why we coach. That's why we play, for sure. And you can't fast track a process. And I compare it to this: anything in your life that's worthwhile, whether that's friendship, if you're married and you have a wife, that's a process. And you go through things together, and they're worth it. Right? You go through these hard times, and on the other side of it, you grow together. I think there's such value in going through adversity and what that looks like, and the character you grow, what it reveals in those times, and you can't fast track that. We all wish we had this magic formula, like bang, we're a NHL or a Stanley Cup contender right away, but it is a process, and you watch other teams that are going through it now, where Washington's a great example. For years they were told that they couldn't get it done, and that was when Barry Trotz was there, and they were down 2-0 to us. Their starting goalie at the time was Braden Holtby, and he was sitting on the bench, and it looked like they were having one of those years again. Unfortunately for us, he came in, they took over that series, and then they went on to win the cup. So it was that close for them failing again. And 2 years ago, we were right there too. I truly believe we were that close to kind of knocking on the door. You knock off the number 1 and number 2 seeds, and we played extremely well against Tampa, and we played extremely well against Boston too. Don't forget, that was a close series, and it was the margin for error and the fine line between winning and losing. It's razor sharp when you get to that. So it's, you know, you're an injury away from being good or bad. So I'll go back to what you said, the process. I dream it. You absolutely. That's why we do this. It's that, and it's not the ring, and it's not the parade. You know what it is? It's the journey that excites me of it now as I've gotten older. When I was younger, it was all about getting the big ring and get my name on the cup, which I want those things. I think that's kind of the icing on the cake. But really the journey of it, going through it together as a group, and again, you talk about where you thought you were teetering on losing, and you know, being a part of Colorado when they won it, watching what they went through, like the training was an infirmary, like they're hanging on by a thread. Guys are playing with broken ribs and broken toes and broken fingers, and no one says a word, nobody cares. What that passion and drive to win, and every game is so important. Every round you go in, it gets so much more exciting. So yeah, that's the plan. And when that plan comes together, I hope it's sooner than later, but I don't have a crystal ball.